Hey everybody, I'm really very honored and grateful to be here today with the Yuri Marmerstein. He's a hand balancer, acrobat, performer, teacher, and a whole bunch of other things I couldn't even list. And we just finished up the workshop here in Sacramento this weekend of February 8th and 9th, I believe, in 2014. It was a real blast, and I learned more from Yuri in a few hours at this workshop than I have from multiple teachers and endless hours of practice. I've been practicing for years, and my technique was just so refined, I can't even believe it. It's really incredible. And so I just have a few questions for him today while I'm here with him to kind of shed some light and help other people learn more about him and what he's offering to the world and our community. And so I'll just begin with these questions here. So Yuri, how old are you?
I'm 27.
27, okay. And where are you from?
Originally born in Odessa, Ukraine, and lived most of my life in Ohio.
That's awesome. And where did you go to college?
Ohio University in Athens, Ohio.
And what was your degree in?
Physics.
Physics. And how has that degree affected the way you think about movement and move?
It's taught me to think very mechanically, which from an analysis perspective helps because I can look at something and break it down. At the same time, it's kind of difficult for me to get out of that, so I try to kind of shift between both kind of mechanical and romantic artistic mindset.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and then when you were growing up, how did your lifestyle as a child affect you? Did your parents have you involved in any movements or sports or other activities?
I wasn't too active as a kid. I wasn't. I mean, I played soccer a little bit, but I never took, like when I was younger, I mean, I played in the park and all that, but not enough. I never took movement that seriously. I played soccer throughout like middle school and high school, and it was the same. I did it, but I never thought anything of it.
Okay, and then what is your athletic background?
That was pretty much it. I played soccer. I never really had any formal training in anything before I started what I do now.
Okay, and then are there any people who really helped you grow and learn as an athlete or throughout your career or anything like that?
I mean, absolutely. In college, I was spurred by a lot of people who maybe they didn't necessarily know, but they brought me into kind of the movement culture, and they got me to just do different things, think about things differently, and find out what I was passionate about. Particularly, gym I worked at in Ohio, I worked with Valentin Kidichenko, who was a former member of the USSR Olympic team in, I think, 72 or 76. And he wasn't really my coach or anything, but he asked me, or I got to ask him a lot of questions and kind of dig into his mind a little bit, and that really helped just affirm the knowledge that I have now.
And when was it you started to start training in movement? Maybe not completely seriously, but just started.
Towards the end of high school, so I guess I was about 17, basically just watching like Jackie Chan movies in Thailand or whatever and throwing kicks in my backyard.
When was it the first time you decided to kick up to a handstand?
It was, I was reading one of the old school strongman books. It was either like Charles Atlas or one of the other guys. But either way I didn't actually kick up. My first one was a frog stand press because that was the first time that I read about it. So I mean, I was able to press up and then fall on my back because I couldn't do a handstand, of course.
Okay, yeah, and so it sounds like you were inspired by the old-time strongmen. They did a lot of handstand push-ups, develop strength and balance, and carry over into everything else they did. And what I found interesting is at the workshop you said that you learned to do your handstand push-ups freestanding instead of like against the wall or with an object. And I think this says a lot about your approach to movement and training and the thought process behind it. What was your original thought process behind this? Did you do that just by accident, or was it...
Well, when I was learning them, I don't think there was really any thought process. It was just kind of, oh, that looks cool, I'm going to try it. And yeah, I was, because I didn't really have balance necessarily, I was walking a lot, I was catching and saving myself a lot. So that strength was already kind of built up, and I worked from there. I mean, really doing them against the wall like everyone else was, it didn't feel to me like the same thing.
Yeah, and so you talk a little bit about those kind of concepts about learning to catch yourself and save yourself from falling. So do you find that really helps to build strength and help people in their handstand practice?
And it's building strength. You're not thinking about building strength when you do it. You're thinking about balancing and catching yourself. But the strength benefits from it are tremendous because of that aspect.
Awesome. And then one last thing going into that is that it's also could be kind of energy inefficient in a way to do that. So how What do you think about saving your handstands? When should that be practiced? Should it be practiced every single time? Should you try to save the craziest handstands? Or
at some point, yes. You have to be able to save the craziest handstands. But at some point, it depends what you're working on. Maybe you don't want to use that energy up. Maybe you want to come down, kick back up. For example, if you're working presses and one arms, and you're trying to get a quality rep in. If you're way all over the place, maybe you can come down and save it, but you've lost your rep, so maybe it's worth. It all depends, but some days, yeah, like fight to save it no matter what.
okay, now we're getting into the one-arm handstand stuff, and I'm sure a lot of people are interested in what you have to say about that. So I was just curious, when was it you decided you wanted to achieve that skill?
I mean, I messed around with it a little bit, but it was like very old school style and no idea what I was doing. Probably, I'm going to say towards like end of 2008, beginning of 2009, I started putting effort into it.
And what motivated you? When was the first time you saw that position and decided you wanted it?
I mean, I saw it all over, but I never seen anyone do it in person really. But I guess it was possible, so that seemed to me like just a really impressive, not just feat, but mastery of the body. Like how much control do you have to be able to stand on one arm?
How solid was your handstand practice when you decided you wanted to move towards the one arm? Were you already doing
It was
like...
fairly solid. You know, I could hold it for a minute or two, not with the best form, a little bit of banana shape. Could do handstand push-ups. I could do like some planche, advanced strength. So it wasn't, the strength was there and the balance was there, but needed refinement, and I had to work on my position a lot. So definitely going from the banana shape into a straight body, and that took a few years as well.
Yeah, and so you said you started thinking about achieving the one arm in like 2009 or 2008, something like that. And how long did it take you to actually achieve that skill? When did you finally get a good straddle?
I mean, I still don't have a good straddle. I'm still working on it. But to when I could hold it, probably like fairly consistent, 10 seconds. Probably towards like fall 2010. So maybe like between a year and a half and 2 years. I did get injured during that time, so I did get injured at a time when I was starting to feel the progress, so that did send me back a few months.
Yeah, so this is definitely a hard skill to work up to, and I was just curious, even now, what's the hardest part of the skill for you? What's your biggest, thing you're trying to focus on and prevent from happening when you're in a handstand on one arm?
That's a good question. There's always so many things. It depends. Some days I'm more focused on what my line should be and what the position should be, and some days I'm more focused on balance and just on keeping it and not falling. Getting my left arm up to speed with the right is always an issue. I mean, for everyone it is. I'll have that dominant side.
Mm-hmm.
As far as holding it, it's just being clean, being cleaner, moving less, saving it better.
Cool. And do you have any tips for anybody practicing?
Do it every day. But you have to be patient. So, I mean, what you'll see everybody want to do is lift the arm up before they're ready. And you have to essentially you have to do the same step every day for a few months at a time before you can move on. And this is one of those things that's just, to hold it for a couple seconds with balance and to whip the arm up and to fall, those are years apart, those two skills.
Yeah, that makes sense. How often do you train?
Daily. It's very rare I'll take a full day off.
And multiple sessions every day? How many hours?
Usually 2 sessions a day, maybe like 2 to 3 hours each session. And then counting more with controlled mobility, so probably like 5-6 hours a day, 4 to 6, depending on the day.
What does your training consist of right now?
A little bit of everything. I mean, hand balancing, obviously, and that's something you have to have a daily practice to not just maintain, but to progress as well. Otherwise, I'm doing different aerial apparatuses, capoeira, dance, tumbling, whatever I can fit into my schedule.
Does your body respond better to high volume training or more skill-specific skill work training?
High volume skill work? I mean, but it depends, right? So because I train every day, I can't go all out with strength because the next day is going to compromise me. So I do fairly low volume of strength work, but very high volume of skill work. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
And skill work is when I concentrate on efficiency.
Perfect, that's a great definition. What do you do for your lower body training at this moment?
Right now, nothing too crazy. Capoeira is very lower body heavy, as is tumbling and tricking and some of the low to the ground movements I do. And then in addition to that, just some basic pistols, jumping pistols, glute ham raises.
Where do you draw your inspiration from, and what inspires you to keep going and keep evolving?
My personality is just it's a bit obsessive, so anything I really start, I do all out and I finish. And what I'm doing right now, I haven't finished yet.
I like that. What do you do for active recovery?
I do a lot of already just mobility, a lot of stretching, a lot of joint preparation. It's just prehab, rehab, whatever, but every day trying to move the joint to their full range. Other than that, Epsom salt bath once a week, getting my diet in check, basic supplementation.
And how's your aerobic conditioning? What do you do for that, or what's your thought process there?
I don't do any steady state cardio or anything like that. I do capoeira a couple times a week, and that's very metabolically demanding, even if it isn't running on a treadmill the whole time. It's very demanding. I'll do a little bit of kettlebell work. Again, nothing crazy. It's not a heavy kettlebell. Just some swings, snatches for time. Sprint intervals once in a while.
Cool. Yeah, that sounds nice and well-rounded. When did you decide you wanted to start teaching?
I've been teaching actually pretty much as long as I've been moving. I mean, originally I just wanted more people around me who did what I did to have a community, and I would just go out of my way and teach people and try to get more people just active and involved and seeing like, hey, this is cool. It wasn't always easy, but I did develop, somewhat of a community to help out with that. But looking back on it, I've always been teaching as long as I've been doing anything else.
So would you say it's the community that inspires you to be such a passionate teacher?
Absolutely.
What skill or concept helps you to be a more effective